Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on Tactics Trainer, chess.com. I'm going to try 3 more puzzles here. This one is black to play, and I'll just be sharing my train of thought with each of these. So, let's see. This knight I'm not afraid of. He won't be contributing in this puzzle. There's back rank issues for white. No flight square. This rook is unprotected, so too is this queen. There are also maybe some ideas of if this pawn ever captures, the rook could come over here and give checkmate since the g1 square is controlled. So I'm pointing out a lot of rough thoughts that I have with this position. Now I'm really trying to tie it all together and come up with something decent. This bishop is hit twice. Can you really do without moving this bishop? Or let's see. This pawn is also, maybe I could view this pawn as being unprotected. Right? It's attacked once, defended once. This knight probably won't be contributing much either. So it's kind of like a queen, rook, and bishop versus a queen and rook situation. Back rank vulnerabilities. G1 is covered. If this pawn ever makes a capture, can I force this pawn to capture in some way? Like if queen here, if pawn takes, it's mate, but what is that really doing? Queen here, you take the bishop. Or do you? Oh. Hang on. Did I just find the solution? No, it's not that easy. Queen here, you're threatening the rook. And if the rook takes here, then you bring the rook down like so and give checkmate. Queen here, is that really it? There's got to be an easy way to defend though, isn't there? What if the rook just moves... What if the rook just moves... I don't know, f1? If queen here, rook to f1? There's no good checking move, no good forcing move. Queen takes here doesn't amount to anything. So queen to g3 is actually my first thought. Queen takes, you take the queen, and then back rank stuff. And what is the other threat? Like if queen here, suppose the queen goes to e2. If the queen goes to e2, queen g3, should there be another move I'm considering? I think this is a key move, because you want to be in a position to maybe take on e3 if one of the major pieces takes. If the queen or rook takes the bishop. You also want to put pressure on the rook, threaten some mate in 2. Take the rook, and then after a block you take the queen. You also want to maybe put pressure on h2 after, because you could have a follow-up of rook h5, which is going to threaten or induce h3, and then there could be some sacrifice on this square with maybe mate following up queen to h3 stuff. So if queen g3, rook f1, queen h5, h3, rook takes h3, pawn takes, queen takes h3, and that's mate. So queen g3? Okay, well, queen g3, if rook f1, I believe I know what I'm doing with this move. Yeah, queen g3, rook f1, rook h5 is going to end up winning. However, queen g3, queen e2 to defend the rook, and also the h2 square indirectly. Oh, hang on. If queen g3, queen e2, the queen is now a defender of the rook. Maybe there's a way you can chase away the queen. Actually, I was just ready to suggest queen g3, queen e2, rook here, but then you take the black queen, because the rook isn't there to give checkmate. So queen g3, queen to e2. I'm stuck at that point. The other thing queen to e2 would be doing is in some lines defending h5 directly. Actually, that's what it would be doing. Queen to g3, queen to e2. You're defending this rook from coming over. Huh. I feel like this should be it, but I don't know. What's the follow-up? Queen g3, if the queen plays here... Oh, you still come over. Okay, let's run with it. Queen g3, if queen here, you come over. Because if queen takes rook, you take the rook. And that's mate on the spot. So queen g3, if queen e2, queen h... Let's try this again. Queen g3, queen e2, rook h5. You're threatening mate on h2. H3. And then I really want to smash that pawn up. Just take that pawn. Rook takes pawn. Pawn takes would be the only move. Queen takes pawn, check. The queen would slide over to defend, but I'm not seeing a good follow-up from there. You could give a check, but the queen could block here. You could then give a check here, but the queen still comes over and blocks all these checks on h2 or g2. But maybe that's maybe the solution to this is that there isn't a win. Since white is down material, maybe going for some perpetual, but I think there would actually be something better. After queen g3, queen e2, rook h5, h3, maybe you play bishop to f4, threatening mate on h2, and the king has to run to g1. And then I believe you take on h3 because the pawn on g2 would be pinned. And then the threat would be rook to h1, check, giving up the rook, followed by queen h2 mate. I'm just going to go with that. I spent enough time on this one. Queen g3. It is correct. Let's see what line the computer goes with. It's going with that one. Rook h5 is the follow-up, and after h3, I believe this is where I need to pause for a moment. Okay. I really want to do this, but I think that there's a way to win. There's got to be, with these weak and dark squares. Bishop f4 threatens a mate in 1. I was just ready to abandon this idea. Bishop f4, I was thinking queen here, offering a queen trade, but you could take the queen. This pawn is pinned. Bishop f4, king here. Rook takes pawn. The pawn is pinned, and then the threat is rook h1 followed by queen h2. It can't be stopped. That is the correct move. Take here, and it is solved. The big threat here at this point is rook h1, forcing the king in the corner, queen h2 mate. Ooh. All right, let's just dive into the next one. Problem 2 of 3. All right, there's not going to be very many choices with this one. Okay, hang on for a second. Queen is attacked. Queen is attacked. White is down a lot of material. A full rook. Okay. I think I see the solution to this one. This one maybe isn't too bad. Let's see. Very limited choices, right? I think the trick here is to not take with the pawn. And the reason I say that is because I think you want to have your queen in a position where she could give check on h5. Something with that move and the knight to e2 move is what it's what I have in mind here. So you take with the bishop. You're now threatening the queen, and if she goes here, let's say, the follow-up would be queen h5 check, king in the corner, or king g1, and then knight e2, and the queen would have to give itself up for the knight. So I believe that this is the first move. Queen takes bishop. The queen can go somewhere else on this diagonal. There's only one other safe square that would watch over the queen from getting to this h5 square. So queen takes bishop, queen here. Well, you could move the bishop to g4, attack the queen, and then I don't believe there's going to be a way to stop queen here. Hang on. Queen takes bishop, queen to f3. And then what? Queen takes bishop, queen to f3. Huh. Oh, you would give this check first. Yeah, there's an important move order trick here. Queen takes bishop, queen f3. If you move the bishop to g4, there's queen g3, and then if you play the queen to h5 to give check, there's queen to h2 to successfully block. The king wouldn't have to make use of g1. However, after queen takes bishop, queen f3, there is still a way to control e2, only this time with the bishop, since it could be playing to g4 with tempo on the queen. So you don't necessarily have to have the queen getting to this h5 square to control e2. The bishop can do that with tempo, with an attack on the white queen. So queen takes bishop, queen f3, queen h4 check. The queen can't go here. The bishop watches over h3. Queen takes bishop, queen f3, queen h4 check, king g1, bishop g4, attacking the queen. And then if the queen moves, there's knight e2. The queen has to give itself up. There is maybe one other trick that white could have. Queen takes bishop, queen f3, queen to h4 check, king g1, bishop g4. You're attacking the queen. What if there's a counterattacking move against the queen with g3? I think the queen would then calmly come back to h5, and there is still a threat of knight to e2, check, and queen to h3, leading to mate. I think that's it. It is correct. It is going with this, and I believe this is an important move. Queen h4, and then finally queen or bishop here. That is correct, and just throw the knight in there. All right, that was it. All right, I'm actually happy with that one. All right, let's see if we go 3 for 3. Last one here. Okay, puzzle 3. Alrighty. Let's see, black to play. And there's 2 different checks you could be throwing in. Something tells me it's not going to be either of those, because white could do great things. And by great, I mean simply develop and defend the threat. So it's probably not some check here. How's the material looking? It's looking even. There's maybe a slight problem with the c1 square. Maybe. Rook c8 is maybe something. Oh, I think I'm seeing it now. Knight here? No. Let's see. I think, well, here's a problem. Here's a problem. Okay, there's a potential fork on c2. I think this is the key to this problem. This knight is just 2 hops away from jumping into c2. And, yeah, I am seeing it, I believe. There's not a good way to defend the c2 square. I think the first move is... Let's see. Do I really know this? Yeah, I think the first move is rook here. Not committing the knight just yet. There is the threat of knight b4. Actually, it's doing more than just threatening to get here. It'd be threatening the queen directly. It'd be also threatening just to trap the queen. Like rook c8 if castles, knight b4, and the queen has no safe squares. Knight would be guarding d3. I think if you move the knight here first, then there's always a kick. You could go a3, and then if rook c8 you take. This rook c1 check I don't believe is too scary. However, there is an ensuing check on e4. I for some reason I don't really like that. This knight b4 move first. Rook c8 seems. That's my first thought. These checks, am I sure they don't work? I'm pretty sure they don't work. Rook c8. Here's another thing I thought about. If white tries to maybe defend c2 with knight a3, rook c8 if knight a3, and then there's this check because the knight's unprotected on that square. So that's one thing I say to myself if I'm considering certain candidate moves by my opponent. If they make a move and it's going to an unprotected square, is there a way to exploit that? And there would be in this case. Rook c8, knight a3, check, the knight is dead. Rook c8, and what are you going to do with the queen? It's got to be pretty scary. Oh, here's the other one. If rook to c8 and then, well, I'm actually a bit stumped now. Rook c8 a3. What if a3 is still played? I was saying knight b4 a3, but what if rook c8 a3? Now if the knight moves somewhere, the queen could maybe be making use of this square. You know what it might be? It might actually be something to do with this knight e4 move. It might have to do with the rook getting to the c1 square. King here, and then knight e4 check. There's got to be something. Pawn check. Spent 4 minutes on this. It seems like such a quiet position, but there must be something. Knight b4, a3. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I just don't know. Rook c8, a3. Knight moves. Oh, I'm seeing it. I think this is the correct move. Rook c8. If a3, knight a5, a double attack against the queen. Queen to b4, knight takes b3, maybe right away or after a queen capture. I think right away. You're attacking the rook, and you're covering d2, which is then threatening rook to c1, checkmate. I'm going to go with that. It is correct. Oh, and they're not going with this a3 line. Maybe I could show it after the puzzle, but I believe I have it now. You just throw the knight into this square. Knight here, knight c2 next. That is correct. That was the big trick with this one. Knight c2, and that's it. The problem's solved. But let me go back and bring up this analysis board right about here. And let's go down. Okay, this is the line I was wondering about. Let me just see what it has to say about after rook c8. Does it suggest a3? a3, knight a5, queen to b4, knight takes b3. I was correct because of the mate threat. Let me show. This is the line I was wondering about. Rook c8. Oh, this was the move initially. And then black to move rook c8 if a3, knight a5, queen b4, knight takes b3. And if queen takes, this is mate. There's that line that needed to be understood for this puzzle, I believe. All right. It's, I think, one of the few times that I've gone 3 for 3. Feel free to share how you did with these puzzles, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye.